The morning alarm rang across Kepler station at exactly 0600 hours, just like it had for the past 3 years. Dr. Elena Torres rolled out of her small bed and looked through the window at the twin suns rising over the rocky planet below. She smiled slightly. Another peaceful day of research ahead. Kepler station was not much to look at. It was a collection of white metal buildings connected by covered walkways, sitting on a large asteroid in the outer edge of the Kepler system. 53 humans lived here, scientists, engineers, and their families who had volunteered to come to this remote corner of space to study strange matter that could only be found in this system. Elena was the station commander, though she preferred to think of herself as just another scientist. She had been chosen for this job because she was good at keeping people calm and organized. Running a research station millions of miles from Earth required someone who could handle problems without panicking. "Good morning, Commander," said Dr. Mike Chen as Elena entered the main laboratory. Mike was studying rock samples from the planet below. "The morning scans show some interesting formations in Sector 7. Want to take a look?" Elena nodded and walked over to the scanner display. On the screen she could see strange crystal formations that seemed to pulse with their own light. This was why they were here, to understand materials that didn't exist anywhere else in known space. "Beautiful," she said. "Schedule a collection mission for next week." As Elena reviewed the daily reports, she felt proud of what they had built here. The station was completely self-sufficient. They grew their own food, recycled their water, and even had a small school for the 12 children who lived on the station. It was a real community, isolated but happy. The work was important too. The exotic matter they studied here could revolutionize energy production back on Earth. Some of the crystals could store enormous amounts of power in tiny spaces. Others seemed to bend space in ways that could make faster space travel possible. But the best part was the peace. No politics, no wars, no crime. Just 53 humans working together for the good of science and humanity. That peace was about to end. 3 light years away, Admiral Vex of the Krath Empire studied the scanner reports with interest. His reptilian eyes gleamed as he read about the small human outpost. 53 primitives, he hissed to his second-in-command. No military vessels, no defense systems. They don't even have proper shields. The Krath were part of something called the Hegemony, 4 alien species that had joined together to conquer weaker civilizations. They had been expanding across this part of the galaxy for decades, taking what they wanted and enslaving those who could not fight back. "Should we demand their surrender first?" asked the second-in-command. Admiral Vex laughed, a sound like grinding. "Rocks. Why bother? Humans are new to space travel. Their home planet is too far away to send help. We take the station, use the humans as workers, and claim their research for ourselves." The Hegemony had 12 warships in their fleet. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Against a tiny research station with no weapons, it would be like using a hammer to kill an ant. "Begin the approach," Vex ordered. "We attack at dawn." Back on Kepler station, Elena was having dinner with her team in the main dining hall. The mood was cheerful as always. Dr. Sarah Kim was telling jokes about her experiments with crystal resonance. Engineer Tom Brady was complaining about a broken water recycler. The children were playing a game of zero-gravity tag in the corner. "Commander," called out Dr. Lisa Park from the communications station. "I'm getting some strange readings on long-range sensors. Looks like 12 objects moving toward our system." Elena set down her fork. "Asteroids?" "No, ma'am. The signatures look artificial, and they're moving too fast and too organized to be natural objects." The dining hall grew quiet. Elena felt a cold weight in her stomach. In 3 years, they had never seen another ship in this system. "Red alert," Elena said calmly. "All families to the underground labs. All senior staff to the command center." The next few minutes were controlled chaos. Parents gathered their children and headed for the emergency shelters built deep inside the asteroid. The senior staff rushed to their stations and began scanning space for the approaching objects. 12 ships, reported Dr. Park. "Large ones, military configuration. They'll be here in 6 hours." Elena's mind raced. Kepler station had no weapons, no shields, and no way to run. Their only spacecraft was a small shuttle used for supply runs to the planet below. "Can we send a message to Earth?" she asked. "I'm trying, but something is jamming our long-range communications. We can't get a signal out." Elena felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. 53 lives depending on her decisions. She had to think fast. "Tom, how long would it take to evacuate everyone to the planet?" The engineer shook his head. "The shuttle can only carry 12 people at a time. We'd need at least 5 trips. That's more time than we have." "What about the underground labs?" "They're well hidden and have their own life support. If someone didn't know exactly where to look, they might not find them." Elena made her decision. "All non-essential personnel to the underground shelter. Shut down all power except life support. Maybe they'll think the station is abandoned." But even as she gave the orders, Elena knew it was probably hopeless. If these were hostile aliens with military ships, a hidden shelter would only delay the inevitable. Admiral Vex watched Kepler station grow larger on his main screen. The human outpost looked even more pathetic up close. Just a cluster of small buildings with no defenses at all. "They're trying to hide," reported his scanner operator. "Power signatures are minimal, but I'm detecting life signs throughout the structure." "Good," Vex said. "Fire a warning shot across their bow. Let them know resistance is useless." A beam of energy lanced out from the lead Krath ship and struck the empty space near the station. The message was clear: surrender or be destroyed. Honor. Kepler station. Elena felt the whole structure shake as the energy beam passed nearby. She knew they were out of time. "This is Commander Elena Torres of Kepler station," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We are a peaceful research facility. We have no weapons and pose no threat to anyone." The reply came immediately in heavily accented but understandable English. "This is Admiral Vex of the Krath Empire. Your facility now belongs to the Hegemony. Surrender immediately and you will be treated as valuable workers. Resist and you will all die." Elena looked around the command center at her terrified staff. She thought of the families hiding in the underground labs. She thought of 3 years of peaceful research about to be destroyed. "We surrender," she said quietly into the microphone. But she also pressed a hidden button that activated the station's emergency beacon, a tiny device that would broadcast their location and status for months, hoping that someday someone would hear it and know what happened to Kepler station. Admiral Vex smiled as he watched human figures emerge from the station with their hands raised. Another easy victory for the Hegemony. Another primitive species added to their empire. He had no idea that this small research station would be the beginning of the Hegemony's end. 6 months had passed since Kepler station went silent. In the cold depths of space, Elena Torres crouched in the hidden underground laboratory with only 11 other survivors. The once bright research facility above them was now a prison camp, run by alien masters. Elena's hand shook as she checked the food supplies. 3 weeks left, maybe 4 if they were careful. Of the 53 humans who had lived on Kepler station, 37 were dead. The rest worked as slaves in the mining operation the aliens had built. "Commander," whispered Dr. Mike Chen. His face was thin and dirty. "The Krath guards changed shift. We might be able to reach the supply depot tonight." Elena nodded. Every few days, they had to risk everything to steal food and medicine from the alien supplies. It was the only way to stay alive, but each raid was more dangerous than the last. Above them, Admiral Vex walked through his new mining complex with pride. The humans had been useful workers, though many had died from the harsh conditions. The exotic crystals they extracted would make him rich and powerful in the Hegemony. "The humans are weaker than expected," he told his officers. "But they learn quickly. The survivors will serve us well." What Admiral Vex did not know was that Elena's emergency beacon was still broadcasting, sending its desperate message across the void of space. On Earth, in the command center of the Terran Defense Force, Admiral Jack Stone stared at the star charts with growing anger. 3 months ago, they had received Elena's beacon, a faint signal carrying news of attack and capture. "Sir," said his aide, Captain Lisa Hayes. The council is still debating whether to respond. Stone's jaw tightened. Debating? 53 of our people are dead or enslaved, and they're debating? The problem was distance. Kepler Station was at the very edge of human space. Earth had only developed faster than light travel 5 years ago, and their ships were still slow, compared to other species. A rescue mission would take months. But Stone had been working on something in secret, something that would change everything. "Captain Hayes," he said quietly, "activate Protocol 7. Hayes's eyes widened. Protocol 7 was humanity's most classified military doctrine. It was simple and terrible. Any attack on human civilians would be met with total war. No mercy, no prisoners, complete destruction of the enemy. Sir, are you sure? The experimental ship isn't ready for field testing." Stone stood up and walked to the window overlooking the shipyard. There, in the largest construction bay, sat humanity's first true warship, the TDS Retribution. It was black as space itself, covered in weapons and sensors that no human ship had ever carried before. "It'll have to be ready," Stone said. "How long until she can launch?" 2 weeks, sir, but the weapons systems are untested. The quantum drive could tear the ship apart. The stellar siphon array has never been fired at full power. Stone smiled grimly. Other alien species had developed similar technologies over the centuries, but they had rejected them as too dangerous. The quantum drive could open holes in space-time itself, but one mistake would destroy the ship. The stellar siphon could drain energy from a star, but the power levels could overload any normal vessel. Only humans had been crazy enough to build weapons that could kill them as easily as their enemies. "Get me the volunteer list," Stone ordered. Within hours, Stone had more applications than he could count. Every pilot, every gunner, every engineer in the Terran Defense Force wanted to crew the Retribution. They had all heard about Kepler Station. They all wanted revenge. Stone chose Captain Hayes to command the ship. She was young but brilliant, and she had studied every alien species in known space. More importantly, she understood that this mission would be different from anything humans had ever attempted. "Lisa," Stone said as he handed her command codes, "this isn't a rescue mission. By the time you reach Kepler, most of our people will probably be dead. This is a message mission." "What kind of message, sir?" "The kind that makes sure no alien species ever attacks humans again." 2 weeks later, the Retribution launched in complete secrecy. Only a few people in the government knew the ship existed. To the rest of humanity, it was just another research vessel heading to the outer colonies. Captain Hayes stood on the bridge as Earth fell away behind them. Her crew of 200 was the best humanity had to offer. Volunteers who knew they might not return from this mission. "Quantum drive status?" she asked. "Ready, Captain," replied Commander Tom Wilson, her chief engineer. "But I have to warn you again, we're pushing technology that's never been tested in combat." "Weapons status?" "Stellar. Siphon array is online. Plasma cannons charged, quantum torpedoes loaded." The weapons officer, Lieutenant Sarah Park, looked nervous. "Captain, these weapons could destroy a small moon." Hayes nodded. That was exactly what they needed. The journey to Kepler Station would take 3 months at maximum quantum drive speed. During that time, Hayes drilled her crew relentlessly. They practiced combat maneuvers, weapons targeting, and emergency procedures. Every day brought them closer to a battle that would determine humanity's future in the galaxy. Hayes spent her evenings studying intelligence reports about the Hegemony. The Krath Empire was known for its cruelty. They enslaved entire species and strip-mined whole star systems. The other 3 species in the Hegemony, the insect-like Vorth, the gas-breathing Nem, and the energy beings called Flux, were equally ruthless. But they had never fought humans before. Back on Kepler Station, Elena led another desperate raid on the alien supply depot. Her small team moved through the shadows, avoiding the searchlights and guard patrols. "Medicine first," she whispered to Mike Chen. "Then food. We can't stay long." They had become experts at survival over the past months. Elena had learned to think like a guerrilla fighter, striking quickly and disappearing before the aliens could respond. But she knew they couldn't last much longer. As they gathered supplies, Elena heard something that made her heart stop. 2. Krath guards were talking in their hissing language, but she had learned enough words to understand them. "More ships coming," one guard said. "Big fleet. Admiral Vex wants to expand mining operation." Elena felt despair wash over her. More ships meant more guards, more weapons, more control. Any hope of rescue was fading fast, but as they crept back to their hidden shelter, Elena's improvised scanner picked up something strange. A faint energy signature at the edge of the star system. It was too small to be another Hegemony ship, and too advanced to be a natural phenomenon. For the first time in months, Elena allowed herself to hope. Someone was coming. She had no idea that the someone was carrying enough firepower to turn the entire Kepler system into a graveyard. Admiral Vex received reports of the incoming ship with mild interest. His scouts reported a single vessel, medium-sized, approaching at moderate speed. Probably another primitive species looking for resources, he told his officers. When they arrive, destroy them. We don't need complications. Vex had no way of knowing that the approaching ship contained weapons that violated every treaty governing warfare in civilized space. He had no idea that humans had spent the past 6 months perfecting the art of total destruction. The Retribution dropped out of quantum drive at the edge of the Kepler system and began scanning for targets. Captain Hayes studied the tactical display with cold eyes. 18 enemy ships, multiple ground installations, hundreds of alien personnel. "Battle stations," she ordered quietly. "Prepare stellar siphon array. Target their command ship first." The time for talking was over. The time for mercy had passed. Humanity had come to Kepler Station and they had brought hell with them. The TDS Retribution moved through space like a shadow of death. Captain Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display show 18 Hegemony ships scattered across the Kepler system. Her hands were steady, but her heart burned. "With cold fury. Stealth systems holding," reported Lieutenant Tom Wilson. "They can't see us yet." The Retribution used technology that bent light around the ship, making it invisible to normal sensors. It was another piece of experimental tech that other species thought was too dangerous to use. Humans had built it anyway. "Begin deep scan of the system," Hayes ordered. "I want to know where every enemy ship is positioned, and find our people." For 6 hours, the Retribution remained hidden at the edge of the system, gathering intelligence. The crew worked in silence, knowing that soon they would unleash weapons that had never been tested in real combat. The scanner results made Hayes sick with anger. The aliens had built a massive mining operation on the asteroid where Kepler Station used to be. What had once been a peaceful research facility was now a slave camp surrounded by defensive towers and guard posts. "Captain," called the scanner operator, "I'm detecting human life signs, weak signals from underground, looks like 12 survivors." Hayes felt a mix of relief and rage. Some of their people were still alive, but 41 humans had died under alien rule. That was 41 too many. What about the enemy positions? 18 ships total. The command vessel is a heavy cruiser in orbit around the main asteroid. 12 standard warships patrol the outer system. 5 support ships handle supply runs. They're spread out. No tight formations. Hayes smiled grimly. The aliens felt safe. They had no idea that death was watching them from the darkness. Deep underground, Elena Torres huddled with her remaining 11 survivors in the hidden laboratory. Food was almost gone. Medicine had run out weeks ago. Dr. Mike Chen was sick, with fever, and 2 others were too weak to move. "Commander," whispered Dr. Lisa Park, monitoring their improvised sensors. "That energy signature is still there. It's been sitting at the system edge for hours." Elena felt a spark of desperate hope. Could it be a rescue ship? I don't know. The signature is unlike anything I've seen before. It's powerful, but it's hiding somehow. Above them, they could hear the heavy footsteps of Krath guards patrolling the facility. Every day, more human prisoners died from exhaustion or alien cruelty. Elena knew their hidden group couldn't survive much longer. "If someone is coming," she said quietly, "we need to help them. Can we tap into the station's old Communication system? Park nodded weakly. Maybe. But if the aliens detect the signal, they'll find us. Elena looked around at her dying friends. They were going to die anyway. At least this way their deaths might mean something. Do it. Captain Hayes was studying attack plans when her communications officer straightened suddenly. Captain, I'm receiving a weak signal from the surface. It's human. Put it through. The voice that came through the speakers was tired and desperate, but unmistakably human. This is Commander Elena Torres, Kepler Station. If anyone can hear this, we have 12 survivors hidden in Underground Lab Section 7. The aliens don't know we're here yet. Hayes grabbed the microphone. Commander Torres, this is Captain Lisa Hayes of the Terran defense ship Retribution. We're here to get you out. The silence stretched for long seconds. Then Elena's voice came back, filled with disbelief and hope. TDS Retribution? We don't have warships. How did you? We do now, Hayes said grimly. Stay hidden. We're coming. For you. And we're bringing friends. Hayes cut the connection and turned to her crew. The bridge was completely silent. Everyone had heard the desperation in Elena's voice. Everyone understood what the aliens had done to their people. All hands, this is the captain, Hayes announced over the ship's communication system. We have confirmed 12 human survivors on the surface. 41 of our people are dead. The aliens responsible are about to learn why you never attack. Human civilians. A cheer rose from every section of the ship. The crew had trained for months for this moment. Now it was time to show the galaxy what human anger looked like. Admiral Vex was reviewing mining reports when his scanner operator approached nervously. Admiral, we detected a brief communication signal from the mining facility. It was in the human language. Vex's reptilian eyes narrowed. Impossible. All human prisoners are accounted for. Sir, the signal came from deep underground. There may be hidden survivors. Vex hissed in annoyance. He had thought all the humans were dead or enslaved. The idea that some had been hiding under his nose for months made him furious. Send search teams, find them and kill them. I want no more surprises. But as Vex gave his orders, he had no idea that the biggest surprise of his life was already in the system, watching him through advanced sensors. Hayes watched the alien search teams moving toward Elena's position and made her decision. All stations, prepare for combat. We attack now. Captain, said Commander Wilson from the engineering station, the stellar siphon array is ready, but I have to warn you again, we've never fired it at full power. It could overload our entire ship. What? About the quantum torpedoes? Armed and ready, but each one carries enough explosive power to crack a moon. Hayes looked around her bridge. Her crew was young, but they were the best humanity had to offer. They had volunteered for a mission they might not survive, all for the sake of 12 strangers trapped on a distant asteroid. Open a channel to all enemy ships, she ordered. Channel open, Captain. Hayes spoke in a voice like ice. Attention, Hegemony forces. This is Captain Lisa Hayes of the Terran Defense Force. You have attacked and murdered human civilians. You have enslaved our people. You have exactly 60 seconds to surrender unconditionally, or we will destroy every ship in this system. The reply came immediately from Admiral Vex, his voice full of arrogant laughter. Foolish human. You have one primitive ship against our entire fleet. Surrender now and we will make your death quick. Hayes smiled coldly. Wrong answer. She turned to her weapons officer. Drop stealth. Target their command ship. Prepare to fire stellar siphon array. The Retribution suddenly appeared on every alien sensor in the system. A black ship bristling with weapons unlike anything the Hegemony had ever seen. Sir, screamed Vex's scanner operator. It's impossible. That ship's power readings are off. The charts! Admiral Vex stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The human ship was smaller than his flagship, but the energy readings coming from it were terrifying. No ship should be able to generate that much power without tearing itself apart. All ships attack formation, he ordered. Destroy the human vessel, but he was already too late. Fire, Hayes said quietly. The stellar siphon array activated, drawing energy directly from the Kepler system's twin suns. For a few seconds, the stars themselves dimmed as their power was channeled into humanity's weapon of revenge. A beam of pure stellar fire lanced across space and struck Admiral Vex's flagship. The alien command ship simply ceased to exist, vaporized, in an instant by the power of 2 stars. "One down," Hayes said calmly. 17 to go. The remaining Hegemony ships scattered in panic, but there was nowhere to run. The Retribution's quantum drive allowed it to teleport instantly across the battlefield, appearing behind enemy vessels like a nightmare made real. The battle for Kepler Station had begun, and humanity had brought weapons that would make the galaxy tremble. The destruction of Admiral Vex's flagship sent shockwaves through the Hegemony fleet. Where moments before there had been a massive command ship, now there was only empty space and glowing debris. Captain Lisa Hayes watched the tactical display with cold satisfaction. "Quantum drive full power. Take us to the next target." The Retribution vanished from its position and reappeared instantly behind a Krath destroyer. The alien crew barely had time to realize what was happening before quantum torpedoes slammed into their ship's hull. The destroyer exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. 2 down, 16 to go, Hayes announced calmly. The remaining Hegemony ships scattered in panic, but their conventional engines were no match for the Retribution's quantum drive. The human warship could appear anywhere in the system instantly, strike with devastating force, and vanish before the aliens could return fire. Hayes had studied alien warfare for years. She knew that most species fought with honor codes and rules of engagement. They gave warnings, offered surrender terms, and tried to minimize civilian casualties. Humans were different. When their people were murdered, humans became something else entirely. "Captain," called Lieutenant Sarah Park from the weapons station. "Next target is a Vorth heavy cruiser, bearing 27 Mark IV. Fire plasma cannons, full spread. 6 beams of superheated plasma erupted from the Retribution's hull, each one carrying enough energy to melt through solid steel like butter. The Vorth ship's shields lasted for exactly 3 seconds before collapsing. The plasma beams cut through the alien vessel like knives through paper. The Vorth ship broke apart, its crew screaming across all communication frequencies as their atmosphere vented into space. Hayes felt no pity. She thought of Elena Torres and the other survivors hiding underground, starving and desperate after months of alien cruelty. She thought of the 41 humans who had died as slaves. "Open a channel to all remaining ships," she ordered. When the channel was active, Hayes spoke in a voice that carried across the entire star system. "This is Captain Hayes of the TDS Retribution. Your Admiral Vex thought humans were weak. Your forces murdered our civilians and enslaved our people. Now you will learn what human vengeance looks like." The response came from multiple alien ships. At once, panic-filled voices begging for mercy, demanding explanations, threatening revenge from the greater Hegemony. Hayes listened to it all with a smile that would have frightened her own crew. "No mercy," she said simply, and cut the channel. Deep underground on Kepler Station, Elena Torres and her survivors felt the asteroid shake with each explosion above them. Through their improvised sensors, they could see flashes of light as alien ships died one by one. "Commander," whispered Dr. Mike Chen, his fever-broken face filled with amazement. "They're really doing it. They're destroying the entire fleet." Elena watched the sensor readings with tears in her eyes. For months, she had dreamed of rescue, but this wasn't a rescue. This was an execution. The human ship above them was systematically eliminating every alien vessel in the system. "How many ships are left?" she asked Dr. Lisa Park. 14? 13? 12? Park counted as more explosions lit up their sensors. "Commander, I've never seen anything like this. That human ship is using weapons I didn't know existed." Helena thought about the peaceful research station Kepler had once been. She thought about her colleagues who had died, about the children who had been murdered by alien guards. She thought about months of hiding in darkness while their friends suffered above. "Good," she said quietly. "Let them burn." The Retribution continued its deadly work. Hayes had divided the enemy fleet into zones and was clearing them systematically. Her crew worked with professional efficiency, calling out targets and firing solutions while their ship teleported around the battlefield like an angry god. "Nemi, gas ship destroyed, Captain," reported the weapons officer. "Flux energy being containment vessel eliminated. 2 more Krath destroyers down." Hayes watched another alien ship explode and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. These were the same species that had attacked defenseless researchers. Now they were learning that humans could be just as ruthless as any predator in the galaxy. "Captain," called Commander Wilson from engineering, "the quantum drive is performing perfectly, but I'm reading massive energy spikes from the remaining enemy ships. They're trying to coordinate an attack." Hayes studied the tactical display. 8 enemy ships were moving into formation, preparing to concentrate their fire on the Retribution when it next appeared. "They're learning," she admitted. "Time to teach them that learning won't save them." She turned to her weapons officer. "Prepare the stellar siphon array for wide beam dispersal. Maximum power." "Captain, that setting has never been tested. We could destroy half the system." "Do it." The stellar siphon array reconfigured itself, drawing power from both of Kepler's twin suns simultaneously. The energy readings on the Retribution's bridge went beyond anything the crew had ever seen. Hayes positioned her ship at the center of the enemy formation and gave the order that would be remembered throughout galactic history. Fire. The stellar siphon discharged in all directions at once, creating a sphere of starfire that expanded outward from the Retribution. The 8 alien ships caught in the blast were instantly vaporized, their matter converted to energy and scattered across space. When the light faded, only empty vacuum remained where the Hegemony formation had been. The surviving alien ships, now only 4 in number, immediately began broadcasting surrender messages on all frequencies. Hayes listened to their pleas with the same cold expression she had worn throughout the battle. "No surrender," she said calmly. "You had your chance." The final 4 alien ships tried to flee the system, but the Retribution's quantum drive made escape impossible. Hayes hunted them down one by one, taking her time now that victory was assured. The last ship was a Krath supply vessel that had been trying to hide behind one of the system's outer planets. Hayes found it easily and positioned the Retribution directly in front of it. "This is the final enemy vessel," she announced to her crew. "Fire at will." Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and particle beams struck the supply ship simultaneously. The alien vessel came apart like a toy, its hull plate spinning away into space. "All enemy ships destroyed, Captain," reported the tactical officer. Hayes nodded and turned to her communications officer. "Contact the survivors on the surface. Tell them it's safe to come out." But she wasn't finished yet. The Hegemony had more than just ships in the Kepler system. "Scan the asteroid mining facility," she ordered. "How many alien personnel are still alive down there?" "Approximately 300, Captain. Mixed species, mostly Krath, with some Vorth, and NEM support staff." Hayes thought about the 41 humans who had died as slaves. She thought about Elena Torres and her people, forced to hide underground for months while aliens worked above them. "Prepare orbital bombardment," she said quietly. "Captain," Commander Wilson said carefully, "those are civilian support staff. Some might be non-combatants." Hayes turned to look at him, and Wilson saw something in her eyes that made him step back. "They enslaved and murdered human civilians," she said in a voice like winter ice. "They chose their side." She opened a channel to the mining facility. "Attention all Hegemony personnel on Kepler Station. This is Captain Hayes. You have 10 minutes to evacuate the facility completely. Anyone remaining after that time will be considered a hostile target." The response was immediate chaos as alien voices screamed over each other, begging for more time, demanding safe passage, threatening revenge. Hayes cut the channel and began counting down from 10 minutes. When the time was up, she gave one final order: fire. The mining facility that had been built on the ruins of peaceful Kepler Station vanished in a pillar of fire that could be seen from orbit. With it died the last traces of Hegemony presence in the system. Captain Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge of the Retribution and watched the flames die away on the asteroid below. Around her, her crew worked quietly, already preparing for the next phase of their mission. because Hayes had learned something important from the alien database they had captured. Kepler Station hadn't been the only human target. The Hegemony had attacked other human colonies too, and Captain Hayes intended to pay them all a visit. Elena Torres stepped out of the underground laboratory for the first time in 7 months. The surface of Kepler Station was unrecognizable, where once there had been research buildings and gardens. Now there was only twisted metal and ash from the orbital bombardment. But she was free. Captain Lisa Hayes stood waiting near the shuttle landing pad, her black uniform making her look like death itself. Behind her, the TDS Retribution hung in space like a dark promise of vengeance. "Commander Torres," Hayes said with a respectful nod. "I'm sorry we couldn't come sooner." Elena looked around at the destruction, then back at Hayes. "How many of them did you kill?" "All of them," Hayes replied simply. "Every ship, every facility, every alien who participated in the attack on your station." Elena felt a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Justice had been served, but 41 of her people were still gone forever. "What happens now?" she asked. Hayes's expression grew harder. "Now we make sure this never happens again." As Elena and the other 11 survivors were taken aboard the Retribution, Hayes returned to the bridge. Her crew was already analyzing data recovered from the destroyed alien ships. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Tom Wilson, "we've found references to 3 other human colonies that were attacked by Hegemony forces: New Geneva, Harmony Station, and Far Hope." Hayes felt the familiar cold anger building in her chest. "Survivors?" "Unknown. The attacks happened months ago. If there are any humans left alive, they won't last much longer." Hayes made her decision without hesitation. "Set course for New Geneva. Maximum quantum drive." "Captain," Commander Wilson said carefully, "our orders were to rescue the Kepler Station survivors and return to Earth." Hayes turned to face her crew. Every person on the bridge was watching her, waiting to see what she would do. 41 humans died here because we arrived. "Too late," she said quietly. "How many more are dying right now while we debate orders? How many children are being worked to death in alien mines?" She walked to the center of the bridge and activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is the captain. We have recovered our people from Kepler Station, but we've discovered that other human colonies have been attacked. We're going to find them. We're going to free any survivors, and we're going to make sure the aliens responsible never threaten humans again." A cheer erupted from every section of the ship. The crew of the Retribution had volunteered for a mission of vengeance, and they weren't finished yet. The journey to New Geneva took 2 weeks. When they arrived, they found the same thing they had found at Kepler. A destroyed human colony turned into an alien mining operation. But this time, there were no survivors. Captain Hayes stood in the ruins of what had once been a school and felt something die inside her chest. Small skeletons lay scattered among the debris, children who had been murdered simply because they were human. "Captain," called Lieutenant Park from her scanner, "I'm detecting 3 Hegemony ships in orbit. Looks like they're preparing to leave." Hayes walked slowly back to the shuttle, her boots crunching on the bones of human children. When she reached the Retribution, she gave her orders in a voice like Arctic wind. "No communication, no warning. Kill them all." The 3 alien ships died so quickly they never knew what hit them. The Retribution's weapons had been improved after the battle at Kepler, and now they struck with even more devastating power. Hayes ordered the orbital bombardment of every alien structure on New Geneva. She wanted nothing left that could remind the galaxy that the Hegemony had ever been there. Then they moved on to Harmony Station. At Harmony Station, they found 8 human survivors hiding in a crashed ship. The aliens had been using them for medical experiments, trying to understand human biology. Hayes personally led the rescue team. When she saw what had been done to the prisoners, the scars from alien surgeries, the missing limbs, the broken minds, she made a promise that would echo across the galaxy. "Every Hegemony world will burn," she told the survivors as they were carried to safety. "Every ship will be destroyed. Every alien who participated in these attacks will die. I swear it on the graves of our people. The Hegemony fleet at Harmony Station was larger, 7 ships including a heavy battle cruiser. It didn't matter. The Retribution had been designed to fight entire fleets, and Hayes used every weapon at her disposal. The stellar siphon array drained power from Harmony's sun and turned it into beams of destruction that cut through alien ships, like they were made of paper. Quantum torpedoes opened holes in spacetime that swallowed enemy vessels whole. Plasma cannons heated to stellar temperatures melted hulls and vaporized crews. When the battle was over, Hayes didn't bother with orbital bombardment. She used the stellar siphon to superheat the planet's atmosphere, turning the entire world into a furnace that would burn for decades. Far Hope was the last colony on their list. When they arrived, Hayes expected to find the same scene of destruction they had found everywhere else. Instead, they found something different. The human colony was gone, but so was the Hegemony mining operation. In its place was a massive alien fortress, a military base protected by 20 warships and orbital defense platforms. "Captain," reported the scanner operator, "I'm reading massive troop concentrations on the surface. This isn't a mining operation. It's a staging area for invasion." Hayes studied the tactical display with growing understanding. The Hegemony hadn't just attacked human colonies for resources. They had been preparing for a full-scale war against humanity. Far Hope was meant to be their forward base for attacking Earth itself. "How many ships?" she asked. 23 total, including 2 dreadnoughts I've never seen before." Hayes smiled coldly. The aliens had learned from their defeats at Kepler, New Geneva, and Harmony Station. They had brought bigger guns and stronger ships to fight the human menace. It wouldn't be enough. "All hands battle stations," she announced. "We're going to send the Hegemony a message they'll never forget." The battle for Far Hope lasted 6 hours. The aliens fought desperately, knowing this was their last chance to stop the human war machine. Their new dreadnoughts carried weapons that could crack planets, and their defenses had been designed specifically to counter human technology. But Hayes had learned too. The Retribution had been upgraded after each battle, its weapons refined and its armor strengthened. More importantly, the crew had gained something no alien species possessed: experience in total war. When the last alien ship exploded, Hayes gave her final order of the campaign: stellar siphon array, maximum power. Target the planet's core. "Captain," Wilson said quietly, "that will destroy the entire world." "Good," Hayes replied. "I want every species in the galaxy to know what happens when you attack human civilians." The stellar siphon drilled deep into Far Hope's planetary core and detonated. The world from within. The explosion could be seen from neighboring star systems, a new star that burned briefly and brightly before fading to darkness. 3 months later, the TDS Retribution returned to Earth. Captain Hayes expected to face a court-martial for exceeding her orders and destroying entire worlds. Instead, she found herself promoted to admiral and given command of humanity's new fleet. News of the Retribution's campaign had spread throughout the galaxy. Every alien species now knew that humans were not the peaceful explorers they had appeared to be. When their civilians were threatened, humans became something far more dangerous than any military force the galaxy had ever seen. Elena Torres, now recovered from her ordeal, was appointed as humanity's first ambassador to the galactic community. Her first speech to the assembled alien nations was broadcast across known space. "For 3 years, we lived peacefully at Kepler Station," she said, standing before representatives of dozens of species. "We wanted nothing more than to advance science and knowledge. We offered friendship to any who would accept it." She paused, looking directly into the cameras that would carry her words to billions of alien worlds. "Then you attacked us. You murdered our families. You enslaved our people. You thought we were weak because we sought peace." Elena's voice grew harder, carrying the authority of a species that had just announced its presence to the galaxy with nuclear fire. "Let this be known throughout all worlds. Humanity seeks peace, but we are prepared for war. Touch our civilians and we will find you. Harm our people and we will erase you from existence. We offered friendship, but we have proven we can be your worst nightmare." She gestured to the view screen behind her, which showed the construction yards where dozens of new human warships were being built, each one based on the design of the TDS Retribution. "We came to the stars seeking knowledge and peaceful coexistence. But we learned that some species mistake kindness for weakness. That mistake cost the Hegemony everything they had built over centuries." Elena's final words would be remembered as the moment humanity truly joined the galactic community, not as explorers or diplomats, but as the species that no one dared to attack. We are human. We protect our own, and we never forget. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.